I felt the pain of impact as my fist went through the drywall, and it shattered under the pressure of my fist as I punched the wall hard in anger. I was sick of this place. Why my own family had felt the need to actually send me to a different pack to gain treatment for my anger, I did not know. Being away from my own pack was not what I needed right now. And being in this secure environment, as they called it, was more like being kept in a fucking prison. Therapy and anger management were making no difference. There was nothing wrong with me, so there was nothing to treat. So I do not know what they expected to happen while I was here. Were they expecting some sort of miracle and expecting some sort of angel to emerge from the wreckage that I had apparently become? They would be seriously disappointed if that was the case. Miles, please calm down. Ben, one of the therapists, urged me. All we ask is you come and do a small amount of the session with us. I already fucking told you I wouldn't be leaving my room. So fuck off, I roared, sick of the sight of this fool. What would it take for him to get the message? I heard him sigh. This time, it was more than audible. I think I was beginning to irritate the stupid little fucker, so my plan may be working. Hopefully, he would start to get bored with asking me soon and give up. Meaning he would leave me alone for the day, like the other idiot had done yesterday and the day before. I had soon learned that if I got angry enough and used my alpha aura, they struggled to cope with it, and after so long they would back down and walk away. Meaning, I got the peace I craved. And I got my own way, as it should be. I have to say it was almost amusing, watching them run away like terrified little ants under my shoe. They had to realize by now that their pathetic attempts at treatment were just not going to work. Whatever their fucked up ideas of treatment were, they were simply not needed. I was not ill. I was not broken nor damaged. I was simply too strong. I had ideas too powerful for my own father to contemplate, and he didn't like it. I believed he feared me, and this was his solution. Panicking, he had sought out a solution by locking me up. He would be disappointed. If you want to finish this treatment program, Miles, and leave, then at some point, you are going to have to begin the treatment at some point. A different voice began. A voice I didn't recognize. A beautiful voice. A she-wolf. My head spun around to look at her. Tall, slim, long blonde hair twisted into a bun upon her head. Big green eyes focused upon me. Who are you? I demanded. Me? She asked, placing her hand over her chest. A curvy chest. Perfectly in proportion to the rest of her body curves to die for actually when I take a closer look at her. My name is Kaya, one of the staff here, and I could hear you from down the corridor, she says to me with a disparaging look. Did she not know I was an alpha? She should not be talking to me like that or looking at me like that either. Did she not even care? And, I said bluntly, irritated by her lack of respect for me. Well, I wanted to know who was throwing a tantrum like a little boy, and decided to come and tell him to put his big boy pants on and come and do his treatment, she said to me with her brows raised a little as if in challenge. Who the fuck was this woman? Her big green eyes seemed to sparkle as they glared at me, not an ounce of fear there. I did not understand this, she-wolf. And why was she not respecting my title? Even more so, why was she turning me on that she would challenge me like that? I quickly sat down to hide the increasing issue within my trousers that she was unexpectedly causing. Do you know who I am? I snarled, and she tossed her head back with a laugh, and it was a joyful sound. Yes, I do. But at the end of the day, the title means very little here. Especially when you choose to act like a small child, throwing a fit of rage, all because you are being asked to do something you don't want to do. Perhaps if you were more of a man, you wouldn't even be here. Her words hit me hard, and I saw the other member of staff give her a dark glare as if in warning. But she simply smirked in response. I felt anger pulsing through every vein within my body, yet even more surprising to me There was a desire there too. A need to grab her kiss, her no. I need to stop thinking like that. She was nobody. A simple member of staff, and she was not showing me the respect I should be given. I don't know who the fuck you are talking to me like that. I snarled again. I am your ticket out of here if you fucking do as you are told. You thick piece of shit, she said to me with a smile. Kaya, Ben mutters. You have been told about this. Does this girl think she is something more than she actually is? Because she certainly should not be talking to me like that. And I imagine she should not be talking to patients in general like that. Well, he is getting on my fucking nerves. Acting all entitled, all because his daddy is the alpha. We could all do that, couldn't we? She raised her brows at me. Wait, was she implying she was an alpha's daughter? Was that why my rank did not bother her? If so, why was she working here? You are the alpha's daughter? I demanded an answer, my mind working overtime. She walked over to me, leaning down so her eyes were level with me where I was sitting. Wouldn't you like to know? And with that, she walked toward the door. But I do suggest you sort your sorry head out and get some treatment done, or you will be here for an awfully long time, Miles. And trust me, you don't want that, she added as she left the room. My eyes were on Kaya as her body swayed almost seductively out of the room. My mind was blown by how she was being toward me. When Ben's voice disturbed my line of thoughts. So, Miles, are we going to try some treatment sessions today? He suggested. I considered everything Kaya had just said. I guess trying them wouldn't hurt. The way Allie had dismissed me had made me feel like my presence had been unnecessary. Made me feel like a fool, despite the fact Aiden had asked me to go there on her behalf. I could not shake the thought now that perhaps Bailey was wondering why I had turned up to see her before she began her new job. Would she think I didn't think she was capable? I truly hope that wasn't the case, or else I would owe her another apology. I seemed to be racking up a list of apologies I owed the poor girl. Why do you care so much? Zion piped up as I stepped back into the pack house. What? I questioned, why do you care so much what the new girl thinks? He asks gleefully. I don't care. I just don't want her thinking badly of me when she has just arrived. I huffed, so you don't care what she thinks. But you do care if she thinks badly of you when she has just arrived? Zion chuckled to himself. Go figure. But it is okay. I assume if, after a few months, she realizes you are a total jackass and thinks badly of you seriously, Zion. I warned him what? He asks innocently. I'm not doing nothing. I stormed along the corridor angry now. By the way, my wolf seemed to love irritating me. Not to mention I had yet to even have my fucking morning coffee, since Allie had booted me from the school before my coffee had been drinkable. It had still been at the hot as lava level when I had put the mug to my mouth, so drinking it hadn't been an option. Hey, Asher. Aiden's voice rang through the mind link just as I opined my office door, making me roll my eyes. Great. Just what I needed. Her giving me a hard time now. Did I ever get a break in this bloody place? I swear it was one thing after another. Hello, Eden. How is my new girl doing? She asked sweetly. How kind, she doesn't even ask how I am, or how my day is going. Straight to the work she has me running around doing for her. Nice. You should know, seeing as you had already messaged her, I said bluntly, far from impressed that she had sent me all the way to school to apparently check in with Bailey for her, when Aiden had already messaged her. Oh, she told you, Aiden chuckled. I was kind of hoping she wouldn't. Imagine that. So why did you make me rush over there? I demanded, far from impressed with my friend's mate. Missed my morning coffee because of you, I snapped. Oh, Ash, stop being such a grump-a-lump, she teased. Missing one of your million daily coffees isn't likely to harm you. May even do you some good, you know? Besides, I thought getting out of your office might do you good too. And it does look good that we are going there to show her the senior team are welcoming her. I already told you that I welcomed her when she arrived. That was difficult enough. And you welcomed her by messaging her Aiden. I don't think I needed to get out of my office. If I do, I can make that call. I don't need you doing it for me. Ash, don't be snappy. I know it is difficult, and I know you have likely reached your monthly people interaction level for this month. But we cannot risk losing her. So go check how she got on when she is done for the day. For me, please? You know I would do it. But this mini Caleb inside my huge belly is being a pain and making life difficult. You know that, right? She links, sounding almost desolate with me. God damn it. She was manipulative when she wanted to be, making me feel sorry for her. It isn't her fault she is stuck in the hospital. Fine, I snapped, hating that I was too soft, giving in far too easily. Aw, you are the best. Thanks. And with that she was gone, cutting the mind link like that was the only reason she had linked me in the first place. There and then gone, leaving me to my paperwork. I swear. Sometimes Aiden was unbearable. After hours of paperwork and dashing to various places around the pack, completing tasks of both mine and the Alpha, I realized the time was now nearing for the end of the school day. So I figured I had best make my way up to the school, or else Eden would no doubt be hunting me down to give me one. Hell of a hard time for not doing as I was told, and quite frankly, I did not need that. I already had a headache, and I knew just how capable she was of making my headache worse. I rushed from the busy pack house, out into the sunshine, which was slightly more bearable than it had been this morning. Now I had had several coffees, and I was functioning as close to normal as my body got. As I reached near the school grounds, I could hear laughter, and I looked up to see Bailey out in the grounds of the school with the children who, I assume, are her class. I stood for a moment as I saw her smiling down at them. She was kneeling on the grass, surrounded by the youngsters, all around 6 years of age, and I could see her gently touching them on the head before they touched her head in response. And she was laughing as they did. I wasn't close enough to know what she was saying or doing, but whatever it was, the children were smiling and looking at their new teacher in awe. And strangely, the sight warmed my heart. I walked a little closer, planning to wait until school had finished before going into the school building, already dreading the thought of seeing the other teachers. Though seeing Bailey was far from the top of my list of things I wanted to do, I continued to watch her as I waited, though, intrigued by the way she was so comfortable with the children, and the way they too seemed at ease in her presence. I found myself smiling at the way her eyes seemed to light up as she smiled at the children. How she was so full of enthusiasm. Maybe Eden had been right. Maybe she was what the pack needed. She looked like a natural. A sudden sound startled me, as what could only be described as close to a purr slipped from me, or should I say from Zion, as I watched Bailey teach her class. I quickly moved to behind a nearby tree, leaning heavily on the trunk of the tree, my body almost trembling in shock. I needed to move before she saw me. What the hell was that? I demanded of my wolf, confused at his reaction to her. This was not how a wolf should be acting towards some random she-wolf. But suddenly my wolf had gone quiet. There was no reaction nor response from him. He seemed to have gone a wolf. I waved off my final pupil of the day, having had the best day ever. I loved my new class. Every single child was the sweetest little thing. All such characters, and I could see myself having such fun teaching them all. I would likely say it at every school I went on to teach at, but I think it was the place I was meant to be. I felt fulfilled being here, and it made every late night finishing assignments worth it. Finally, I was able to call myself a teacher, and I knew I had made the right choice. I was just tidying my classroom up when the classroom door opened, making me jump a little, and I turned, wondering if it was one of the parents having forgotten something, or perhaps one of the other two teachers coming to see how my day had gone. So I was more than a little surprised to see Beta Asher standing there. He was the last person I expected to see here, in all honesty, after the way he had been this morning, and how awkwardly he had left. But he was here all the same, and his green eyes were watching me pretty intensely from across the room, and what I think may be a small smile appeared to be playing upon his lips. "Hey, Beta Asher." I greeted him with a smile. "I wasn't expecting to see you." "Hey, Bailey." He faltered slightly, making me chuckle. "Luna Aiden sent you to check in on me again?" I teased him, and I saw a little color come to his cheeks. "I will take that as a yes, shall I?" He sighed, sitting himself on the edge of my desk. "See, you make me sound bad when you say that." "Ah, and when have you ever been bothered by what I think?" I said with a grin, and he laughed. "Would you believe me if I said I did care what you thought?" He said with a wry smile, as I came to join him, sitting on the edge of my desk, now that the classroom was all but tidy. "Probably not, considering how our previous conversations have gone," I admitted, and he chuckled. "I think he needs a doctor, or a computer engineer. He is seriously malfunctioning." Akira giggled. "This is the most he has smiled and laughed since we got here. Did someone spike his drink?" I chewed my lower lip to stop myself from smiling at the things my wolf was saying about him. But I think she may be right. Not about him needing a doctor, or being spiked. Those were both a little harsh, but that this is likely the most he has smiled or laughed with us since we had arrived. This was definitely out of the character I had come to expect of him. Okay, I likely deserved that. So, putting aside that you don't think I care, how did your first day go? Asher's head tilted to look at me. "It was so good," I said with a smile. "The pups are the sweetest little bunch of hooligans." Asher threw his head back, laughing. "Well, that is not a way I expected to hear the beautiful children of our pack described, especially by a teacher." He raised his brows at me, and I shook my head at him before he added, "But you could not be less wrong. They are little monsters, right?" "Ah, I think they are wonderful. I love working with them," I told him, knowing I sounded full of emotion as I do, and I could see him watching me as I spoke. A gentle smile on his face as he listened. "It makes all my hard work worth it." "Well, they are lucky to have you as your teacher, I would say, Bailey," he says softly, placing his hand upon my leg, making me jump slightly in shock at the contact. I raised my gaze to meet his big green eyes, full of confusion, my head feeling a little confused and light itself right now. Just as the classroom door opened again, causing Beta Asher to suddenly move away from me, like he didn't want to be caught near me, as Allie walked into the classroom. "Oh, hello, Beta Asher. I didn't realize you had come to check in on our beautiful Bailey again." She winked at me, as if relaying some secret message that I wasn't quite understanding. He stuttered a little, causing Allie to smile at him, which only caused him to blush. "Luna Aiden asked me to call in to see how her first day had gone. I would not be here otherwise," he said, like he suddenly gained composure. Had we made him feel uncomfortable? "Beta, there is nothing like making the poor girl feel like she is an inconvenience to your day," Allie said with a frown. "I apologize, Bailey. Beta Asher here is not the best at thinking before he speaks." Beta Asher rolled his eyes while Akira is giggling within my mind. "I like this lady," she tells me. She says it as it is, and she makes the big bad Beta feel bad. "I did not mean to make you feel like an inconvenience, Miss West," he said formally, making me wonder where that calm and sweet guy from a few moments earlier had gone. "Oh, we Miss West again? He needs teaching a few lessons, I'd say," Akira piped up again. I was just about to tell my wolf to shut up when I saw how uncomfortable Beta Asher looked, and I couldn't help but feel sorry for him. Honestly, it is fine. I know Luna Aiden asked you to come. I know she will give you a hard time if you don't. I also know you weren't trying to make me out to be an inconvenience. You do not need to explain yourself, I said softly to him. Aw, see, aren't you lucky she is such a sweet girl, Beta? She has done a wonderful job today. We are lucky to have her here, Beta Asher, wouldn't you say? Allie says, looking intently at the Beta, who looked at me before he spoke. Yes, I think we are lucky to have her, he said quietly, before he quickly looked away from me and walked silently from the room. What is it about that woman that messes with my mind, puts me on edge, and makes me question my own sanity? Not to mention the fact my wolf seems to have gone missing in action ever since I caught him all but gazing adoringly at her. None of this made sense. She was no connection to me, nor would she be. And the way Allie was suddenly dropping these bizarre comments made me feel uneasy. I rushed from the classroom, down the now empty corridor toward the school door. Here again, Beta Asher? Gabby, the other teacher, greeted me with a cheeky wink. Anyone would think you were checking up on us. Oh, wonderful. Just what I needed. Another teacher making comments implying things too. I should just have stayed in my office. It was safer there. There were no other people. No, Miss Waterdale. Here simply, as Luna Aiden asked of me, checking in on the new member of staff to check she had settled in okay. I said curtly, beginning to get irritated at their implication that I was here because I wanted to be. Or even because there was something between Bailey and I. Because I'm certain that that was what they were trying to imply. Well, they could not be further from the truth with that. Had Aiden not forced me to be here, I would be sitting back in my office with a coffee in my hand, feeling perfectly fine. Oh, Gabby said with an uncomfortable nod, looking at me fearfully like I had roared at her or something. I swear, this reputation of me as being this grumpy and moody guy was so over-exaggerated. I was not that bad. I waited, expecting a sly dig from Zion at this point, as that sort of thought from me would definitely earn it usually. But there was nothing. He was definitely deserting me right now. Well, not like it made much difference. It just meant I wouldn't be going for my usual run with him. Plus, on a positive note, it means I get to have some peace. I quickly pushed the door open of the school, glad to get away, and try to free my mind of everything that had happened today. But as I do leave the school, I am surprised to see Mark standing there. Hey, Asher. He greeted me with a smile. I nodded at him in acknowledgement to his greeting, but I could not help but wonder if he was here to see his mum or Bailey. You okay? He asked me, frowning slightly, likely at my overjoyed face. You don't look too happy. I am fine. Getting a little tired of running errands for other people. You here to meet your mum? I asked, unable to help myself, feeling an undeniable need to answer my curiosity. Mum suggested I come and welcome Bailey, he said with a smile. I mentioned to her that I had met her the other day, and she found the story quite amusing. My breathing began to quicken for no apparent reason. He was here to see Bailey. Was that why Allie wanted me to leave? I simply nodded. Well, I shall leave you to it then. I do believe she's in the classroom with your mum. Asher, are you okay? Mark started to walk alongside me as I began to walk away. I know you got uncomfortable at us talking about this the other day, but you seem genuinely disappointed now at the mention of me calling in to see Bailey. If you are unsure of how you feel for her, then I understand that, you know. I will head home. Tell Mum I got held up at work. I gave him a dark glare. For fuck's sake. What is it with people implying this today? Miss Waterdale just implied the same thing. I am sure of it. And I'm sure your mum is dropping hints. There is nothing between Miss West and I. Aiden asked me to check in on her. Told me to make her welcome. I am rubbish with people. You know that. But It seems to involve me having to be around her more than I may like. I snapped, and I found Mark looking at me curiously with a smirk upon his face. Okay, if you say so. You were always a weird one, Ash. He nodded. I may head back to work anyway. I missed some training to come here. And if I go into school, Mom will likely find me things to do, and I will never get away. You don't need to make excuses for me, Marks. I told him with a roll of my eyes, wondering if his excuse was for my benefit, thinking he did not believe my reasoning. Oh, it isn't. I snuck away, and if Gamma realizes, he will kick my ass. He chuckled. So, if he sees me with you, he may go easy on me. I rolled my eyes at him. So you are using me as your excuse? I questioned. What are old brother-in-laws for? He grinned, and I laughed. Fair enough, I said with a shrug. So, did the beautiful Bailey have a good first day? Mark asked me with a smile, and I rolled my eyes once more. If you think she is that beautiful, Mark, then go back to school, I told him icily. But from what I heard, yes, she loved it. Need to keep hold of this one, eh? What the hell did that mean? Why would I need to keep hold of her? I snapped. Mark laughed, and with a shake of his head, he looked at me. I think you may want to reconsider that thought that you aren't interested in her, Ash. He playfully slapped me on the shoulder. Wouldn't be in any shame in it. You wouldn't be betraying Isla either. It has been 7 years now. Finding another mate wouldn't be the end of the world. Better than being alone, right? I quickly increased my speed. Fuck off, Mark. You haven't got a fucking clue. Therapy was as horrendous as I expected. Talk about this, Miles. Talk about that, Miles. How does this make you feel, Miles? How does that make you feel, Miles? I was ready to tear their heads off by the end of it. But I had to prove to this Kaya that I was more than capable of doing this treatment. I would not allow her to belittle me and compare me to a tantrum-throwing toddler. She seemed to think she was above me, but I would find a way to show her otherwise. Well, I think that is enough for now, Ben told me with a small smile. Yet the fear within his eyes betrayed him. This fool was absolutely terrified of me. Exactly the way I liked it to be as well. He wouldn't argue with me then. He knew his place. Too right it is, I said coldly. But I or one of the other staff members will come and find you in a little while for your next session, he said, and the tremble in his voice told me he was anxious about telling me that. More? I demanded. They had to be kidding. I had given in and agreed to this session. Why could that not be enough? They should be grateful for that. Kaya asked that you attend all the sessions we require of you to ensure the program is completed as quickly as possible, Ben said nervously. Kaya asked that? His words had caught my attention by the simple mention of her name. Why was she involving herself in my care all of a sudden? I am sure I have not met her before now. She had most definitely not been treating me before this. I would have remembered a girl like that. Ben nodded. Your parents have been in touch. They wanted a likely date of completion. When we told them no progress had been made, they were far from pleased. I rolled my eyes, my fists clenched in fury. What on earth would possess them to tell my parents that? Of course, my parents would be irritated by that news if they had sent me here with the hope of me being fixed upon my return, expecting me to be the good little boy they so desperately craved for a son, attending every therapy session offered to me, cooperating with everything I was asked. It was like they didn't even know me at all. And why did that involve Kaya? I inquired, trying to push back the building anger. I needed answers as to why she was suddenly involved. Ben looked at me curiously. Kaya is the Alpha's daughter, the youngest of 8 children. She felt almost irrelevant within the pack, hence her doing her training for her role here. But obviously, the treatment center here is used frequently by other packs as an alternative to treatment out in the human world. Unfortunately, when things are not going as planned, The alphas tend to go straight to the alpha to complain. And that was exactly what your father did. Ben fidgeted nervously with his hands as he spoke. Wonderful. So now the alpha here is aware I did not want to do my treatment? I asked. Nothing like making him question my abilities as an alpha for the future. Ben chewed his lower lip anxiously now, before meeting my angry glare. I think with the way you have been shouting, or ranting and raving Miles, most of the pack were aware in all honesty. But, as I was saying, your father went to the alpha. The alpha went to his daughter, telling her to deal with the issue. So, Kaya came to deal with your treatment plan personally, and that was what happened when she walked in this morning. I nodded. So, she is part of my treatment team now? I held back the small smile forming on my lips. I think I could come to like the idea of Kaya treating me mum. I could think of many ways that girl could make me feel better, that I am unsure of. But she is most certainly involved in ensuring you complete the program as quickly as possible. So, it will be multiple treatment sessions a day, I am afraid, Ben said as we reached the door to my room. Wonderful, I said sarcastically, as I walked inside, harshly closing the door on him. Surprised to find Kaya sitting inside. Miles, she said icily. I wondered how long you would be. My heart rate instantly picked up at the sight of her. She was too good to be wasting away working as a team member in some treatment center. I have completed the treatment session as you requested, I said sarcastically. Oh, I did not request a thing. That was of your own free will. I think you will find Alpha, she said with a smirk, and the word Alpha from her lips had my cock twitching within my pants for her. I think I would disagree with that, I said with a smirk, moving over to where she was sitting. From what I've heard, there isn't much you don't disagree with Alpha. She almost purrs at me. But, as I said, nobody forced you to attend your treatment. We merely asked you, and today you chose to go. So that was a good decision on your part, I would say. I moved closer, deeply inhaling the perfume I could smell upon her. And do I get rewarded for my good decision? I almost whispered into her ear. My voice is deep and hoarse. She quickly moved away from me, a look of shock upon her face. I don't know what you are thinking, Miles, but I, for one, do not work like that. Right now, you are my patient, she said, moving toward the door as I quickly grabbed her hand and stopped her. Her gaze quickly met mine, and I saw a slight amount of fear there, but it was exactly that, slight. Her gaze was filled mainly with anger. I don't think this woman found me intimidating the way the others did. And I swear it drove me wild. Where are you going? I murmured as I moved myself closer to her once again. I have a job to do, Miles. As I have said, you are my patient. So, I would appreciate you taking your hands from me. I had come to your room at my father's request, simply to inform you that your parents plan to call you shortly. However, if you cannot be trusted to have staff members come to your room alone without you assuming they are here for sexual favors, then perhaps I should have you moved to a multiple occupancy room, she said, raising her brows at me, questioning me. I'm a fucking alpha. I ain't sharing a room, I snap. Yes, well, not quite, are you? And, if you continue with this sort of behavior, I imagine being alpha will fall to your younger brother. But I am a fucking alpha's daughter. And I don't think my daddy would like to know you are trying to grope his little girl, so take your hands off me. She moved her face a little closer to mine. Now she added with a hiss, making me drop her arm. She gave me a small smirk as she began to walk away from me. Good. Start learning to listen and do as you are told, Miles, and you may actually succeed, she said, giving me a sarcastic wink before closing my room door, leaving me standing in the middle of my room, wondering who the hell this girl was, and why she seemed to have such an effect on me. I think I wanted her. I had headed to the dining hall for my dinner, looking forward to going back to my room and relaxing for the evening. So, I was more than a little surprised to have seen Mark, the warrior who had saved me from getting lost as I queued up. He had waved as he came into the hall with some other warriors, and came across to see me, a big smile upon his face. "Well, hello. He winked. "You didn't get lost on your way here, then?" he teased, gaining some curious gazes from the men with him. I shook my head and gave him a disparaging look. Funny. "You left your sense of humor out there, then?" I asked, and he grinned. "So come on then, Miss Bailey. How did your first day go?" "I have been thinking of you all day," he paused momentarily. That sounded bad, didn't it? One of the other warriors with him looked at him with a grin and nodded. "Was that why Wes could bring you down?" Mark gave him a sarcastic grin. "Funny. Bailey knew what I meant. She's working with my mum. Mum has been on about her working there for the last few days. So I was wondering how she got on, is all," he explained, and the guys with him, all dressed in the black cargos and black t-shirts and heavy black boots, that seemed to be the uniform for the warriors, nodded as if they agreed. "Well, thank you for asking, whether you were being weird or not. My first day was good, thanks," I told him, and he winked. "No problem, princess," he said as we moved along in the queue. "These are some of the guys from the team I work in, Wes, Aziz, and Felix." He introduced his friends, and I smiled at each of them, while they nodded at me in greeting. We waited a little while longer within the queue, and I stood awkwardly as the four of them joked around. So, as soon as I had the opportunity, I sorted my food and said my goodbyes to Mark and his friends, feeling it was better to give them their space, and to be honest, I was craving peace again. So I went to find a quiet place at a table in the corner of the dining hall, where I tended to go and eat on my own each evening. I was surprised when I looked up to find Mark had come to sit with me. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "You don't have to sit with me. Go sit with your friends," I told him, really unsure why he would choose to come and sit with me when he barely knew me. "And have the lady sit on her own?" he said with a smile. "What sort of gentleman would that make me?" "One that I assume from how Beta Asher reacted isn't much of gentleman," I teased, and he chuckled. "Is that right? You want to remember I saved you. So, I am some form of a gentleman," he playfully grinned. "And there was me thinking you were a sweet girl." I smiled, with a shake of my head. "I don't think I said that." "Now, this sounds fun." He wiggled his eyebrows at me suggestively, and I felt myself blushing, completely not meaning it the way he seemed to be now implying. "That is not what I meant." "Oh, you spoil sport, getting a boy excited?" He winked at me before eating his food. I laughed. He seemed to be so easygoing and funny, carefree and liking to tease. In some ways, he reminded me a little of Harley. "Did you have a good day at work?" I asked him, and soon I found myself lost in his tales of his warrior training sessions he had endured during the day. But I found myself laughing at the way he told them. Again, in this way, he reminded so much of Harley, always able to make a story sound amusing. He sounded like he was a pretty senior warrior within the pack from the way he spoke. And the way he spoke of his training and his team, I could see that being a warrior meant a lot to him. "I bet your mom is proud of you," I told him with a smile. "I think so, maybe a little. Though scared too, after losing Dad through being a warrior," he says, looking down at his hands, and I realized he felt a little uncomfortable. "I am sorry," I told him, unsure what else to say in such an awkward situation. "Why are you sorry, princess? Not your fault. A risk of the job. We all know that when we do it. Doesn't stop us doing it," he says with a sad smile before looking up. As he looked up, so did I, and it was only as I did that I realized that the dining hall was almost empty now. We must have been chatting for ages. The conversation had been so easy and free-flowing. Wow, I think I have been boring you for long enough, Bailey. Go back to your room, have a soak in the bath, and relax. I think you earned it today. He winked at me. I am off to the gym. Really? I asked, shocked he would be going to the gym after training all day and after just eating. Hey, I didn't become this perfect without putting some hard work in, he said with a grin as he walked away. See you soon, Bailey. Have a good night, sweet cheeks. The nickname he gave me just then was a serious reminder of Harley, and I struggled to fight the tears that were threatening, yet I smiled at him, giving him a wave as he walked away. Memories of Harley seemed fresh in my mind because of the way he reminded me so much of him. I dropped my head into my hands as I picked up my phone, looking at the photographs I had of him, and I felt the tears prickling in my eyes as I did. I hated how things had turned out. I quickly stood up, knowing I didn't want to be seen crying in the dining hall, so I made my way out of the hall, needing desperately to get back to my room. But my fingers lingered over Harley's contact details, contemplating messaging him, or even calling him as I walked back toward my room. But I quickly shoved my phone back into my bag, fighting the threatening tears. My head was all over right now, so distracted with too many thoughts of him. Yet I know I needed to allow him this time to adjust to life with his new mate. I needed to let him go. He had never really been mine, and I should have known that. It was only as I got to the top of the stairs onto the landing, I crashed into the toned body of someone, face first, all because I had been distracted. With a heavy thud as I impacted them, I stumbled a little, and there was nothing I could do. I began to fall backwards, my heart racing at the fear of me falling, my arms flailing desperate to grip onto something, my eyes tight shut, fearful of the fall to the bottom of the stairs. But suddenly 2 strong arms grabbed me and pulled me upward, as I was pulled into the embrace of someone. As I pried my eyes open, my gaze met the eyes of Asher. I had been on my way back to my office to do some additional work, just the usual for me of an evening. I hadn't been paying attention to where I was going as I was reading an article on my phone, and it was only when I felt the impact to my chest that I realized Bailey was there. The second I realized she was falling, I quickly went into action and leaped forward, grabbing her and pulling her to me, my heart pounding in desperate fear, filling me that she was going to fall all the way down the stairs. But, thankfully, I had her in my arms as I lowered myself onto the top step, Bailey still in my arms, both of us trembling. Her eyes had been clenched shut, but she slowly pried them open, looking at me with what could only be described as a look of horror and embarrassment. She jumped back, as if my touch was repulsive to her, and I had to say I was a little hurt by that, but tried hard to ignore it. "Are you okay?" I asked her, trying to check her over, as she quickly moved herself from my embrace to sit herself next to me. "How do I seem to find myself in these messes?" She nodded. "Sorry, I wasn't looking where I was going. I noticed a loose strand of her hair falling over her face, and I don't know why. But I found myself reaching out to gently brush it back, but I saw her eyes widen at me as I did. Did I do the wrong thing? Should I not have touched her? Was she hurt? Now I was more worried she might be hurt. Yet her big brown eyes look up at me, and I swear my heart pounds harder in my chest as she looks at me, not saying a thing. "I think I may have been preoccupied too," I told her, not wanting her to take all the blame. Then, as I looked at her, I saw tears leaking from her eyes. Had she been crying before? Or was it through what had happened? I am sure I had stopped her falling, so she shouldn't have hurt herself badly. I am sure of that. She shrugged, going to stand up, but I reached for her hand without even thinking, wanting to check she was okay. "Bailey, you look like you have been crying. Is everything okay?" I asked softly. Did you hurt yourself when I stopped you falling? Are you hurt? Questions seemed to blurt from my mouth, making me sound like a blathering fool right now, but I was desperate to know if she was okay. As she lowered herself back down to sit down alongside me on the top step, she shook her head. I am fine. Beta, Asher. Really, I am. I had to say I was missing all of Zion's sly comments right now, because no doubt he would have plenty to say right now. But since he had left me earlier today, he had yet to return, and as much as I had said I would be glad of the peace, his absence was beginning to bother me. Though Bailey's lack of information bothered me too. She didn't seem fine. There was a wobble in her voice, but I don't know if that was simply because she was shaken from nearly falling down the stairs. That would make sense. But would that make her cry? I am not so sure that it would. Bailey, I know I have not made the best first impression, and I doubt I ever will. I am not the best with people. But please, Aiden is desperate for me to make sure you are okay. I paused, contemplating if I should be honest here or not. And, in truth, I want to make sure you are okay too. Me, not Aiden. Me. I know there are some things you are not sharing with us, I faltered slightly, unsure how to word what I wanted to say, while Bailey looked at me, a little confused, a little scared. Could I blame her? No, because in truth I think they were a safe estimate of how I feel right now, and little rarely scared me. I ran my hands through my hair in frustration, realizing she was expecting me to continue what I was saying. I am even worse with words. Look, I realize some things are private, so you may not want to share them, but I'm worried about you. Maybe I have no right to be, but I am. You look like you've been crying or want to cry, and that bothers me. Look, you can tell me to mind my own business, and in truth, I probably would if I were you. But is there anything I can help with? My words feel jumbled as they blurt from my mouth. I sit, my breathing rapid as I am feeling like a total idiot at the words I have just blurted out as Bailey looks at me, completely lost. Then, she suddenly sighed, a sigh that sounded like it came from her feet. It was so deep. But she shook her head. Beta Asher, honestly, it isn't even worth talking about. Is any shit that makes you feel crappy? I said, and she looked at me in surprise. And didn't I say to call me Asher? I reminded her. She shrugged in response to my words. Fine, Asher. And I have to say, I am surprised just how good my name sounds from her lips. It sounds pretty good, but she continued. Like I said, it isn't even worth talking about. Or worrying you about. Let me say it is just me feeling sad over something that was never even mine. She said quietly, before looking down at her feet, a blush of embarrassment crossing her face. You missing the guy who met his fated mate, I guess? I asked, and at my words, I saw the pain across her face. I know my guess was likely right. I don't think there would be any shame in that, especially if you guys were close. It is like losing someone, right? Losing a link that was there, and now it feels like it is lost? I suggested how I saw it, though it pains me to admit, I hate the thought of her being close to another guy. Bailey shrugged, and suddenly, out of nowhere, Zion is back. After being absent all afternoon and evening, he is back, pacing within my mind. So on edge, and he is whimpering, like he can sense her pain, and he doesn't like it. Not one little bit, like he did not like to see her struggling. What is going on with my wolf today? I only prayed he did not get any louder, or she would be hearing him and I had no clue how I could explain that. I sound like I feel sorry for myself, but I don't. I just have the occasional moment where things get on top of me, I guess. I can say without doubt, I would never have wanted to be with Miles. He treated me so badly before and after he rejected me. I had a lucky escape, but I can't help but wonder if my own fated mate didn't want me, and the guy I turned to and trusted enough to consider as a chosen mate isn't there for me now. If I am forever going to be alone, she whispered, and her words are so quiet they are barely audible. But because I am sitting next to her, I can hear her, and I can feel the pain within her voice. I saw a tear slide down her face. It sounded like she had been through too much, far too young. But I know this pain she is talking of, because I have felt the same pain in the years since Isla died. A pain that eats away at you, one that makes you wonder if you can cope. The fear of forever being alone. I looked across at Asher and saw a sadness upon his face, and I realized I had said far too much. I am not the only one who has had their own struggles. I should stop being selfish and stop focusing on my own worries. I had been given a fresh start here in this pack. I didn't want to mess that up. Beta Asher had been through so much more than me, and here I was feeling sorry for myself to him. He must think of me as a silly little girl. I began to stand, thinking it better to give him some space, and again he placed his hand upon mine. "Are you going to be okay?" he asked softly, so far from the ruthless and callous Beta I had met on that first night. It was unreal. In many ways, it was like he was a completely different guy. Hell, he almost seems human. Well, not human, werewolf, but kind. Caring, decent, a good guy. Who would have thunk it? Akira chuckled, but for once, I didn't find her little digs at Asher all that funny. He genuinely did seem like a decent guy, even if some of it was being forced by Luna Eden. Maybe my mind had been that messed up with everything that was going on in my life. I had been too quick to judge him. He had enough to deal with, and did not need bringing down by me and my pathetic worries. I smiled. "Yeah, I'm always good," I lied, and flicked my hair back from my face before looking at him again. I get these occasional low moments and then pick myself right back up. I will be good. You don't need to worry yourself about me, Asher. Some chocolate and I am good to go. He chuckled. I may have some chocolate back at my place if you want to come and share. Keep one another company for a little while. So your mind isn't drifting back to the same things, he suggested, a little tentatively, taking me by surprise, I had to say. That offer seemed so out of the blue, and so unlike him. I truly didn't know how to react to his offer. "Oh, the beta liiki q. Akira giggled, clearly thinking this was a perfect time to tease me, so I quickly put my block up to her, not needing her input right now. She was not funny. He did not like me at all. He was trying hard, likely very hard to be kind, because Luna Eden had said to make sure I was okay. I should probably be grateful for his offer, but still, it confused me. I highly doubt he wanted to be keeping me company. I think he has been made to give up enough of his time for me over the last few days, as it was thanks to Luna Eden. I didn't want him feeling he had to give up more of his time. You really don't need to, I told him, with an uncomfortable smile. Oh, he looks uncomfortable now. Almost a little hurt, like a wounded puppy. How do I manage it? I just thought it might be better than both us sitting alone, he suggested, and I found myself sighing. Maybe he was right. What chocolate have you got? I asked, a little curious, because I knew my supply was running low in my room, and I needed to go out for more. He looked at me guiltily. Would you judge me if I said a cupboard full? I giggled. Hell no. I would call you a dream guy. And suddenly Asher was laughing, and it was such a bright and cheerful sound, something so unexpected from him. But it made me smile. He stood up, offering me his hand to pull me up. I don't think I have ever been called that. He smirked. But I will take that as well. Let's go then? He asked with a wink. I guess so. I took his hand, appreciating his help in pulling me up, and we walked in a comfortable silence along the landing, to the short corridor leading off it, and he opened the door to what I assume was his beta suite. Inside was modernly decorated in black, gray, and white. Asher clearly took great pride in his home, though part of me wonders just how long he actually spends here, because every time he talks about things, he is always saying how busy he is. We walked into the hallway with a number of doorways off it, I assume to bedroom, bathroom, and kitchen. But Asher leads me to the room near the lower end of the hallway. Right. This is a secret, okay? I am trusting you here, Bailey. I am meant to be a fitness freak. So if anyone were to know how much chocolate I ate, they would never take my training sessions seriously again, he said to me with a grin, and once again I found myself laughing at him. He was funny, without even trying, I think, and his whole face lit up when he was smiling so genuinely. That darkness and moodiness I had seen him was almost all gone. He opened the door to a modernly decorated kitchen with black units and a marble countertop. He went straight to one of the cupboard doors, opening it for me, and motioning for me to take a look. And as I did, I could see a whole selection of different chocolate bars, my idea of a very sinful heaven. Wow, I gasped, and I heard Asher laughing behind me. The way to a girl's heart, I guess? He asked, and I turned to look at him, my eyes wide in shock at all the different variations of chocolate. Wide eyes, likely with hearts coming out of them for all the chocolate that resided in his cupboard. No wonder he was smiling at me. He likely found me highly amusing. Definitely this girl's heart, not like I had much luck in any other aspect. I joked, and he smiled sadly at me. I am sure you will, but until then, I guess I don't mind sharing my chocolate stash with you, so long as you keep my secret. I found myself giggling without even meaning to as I looked up at him. Wow, my hero, I added sarcastically, and he simply smiled once more. A smile that seemed to come so much more easily than it had before. Listening to Bailey giggle as she stood in the kitchen of my beta suite made my heart pound harder than I think it had done in a long time. But I tried my hardest to ignore it. She looked up at me through her long, dark lashes. Wow, my hero, she said with a sarcastic smile, and despite myself, I smiled right back at her. There is something about her that makes me smile. Something about the way she jokes with me. Her carefree character. Her humor and way she teases me with no thought. You want to watch that sarcasm, Missy, or else my offer of sharing my chocolate may be withdrawn, I said with a smirk, and Bailey looked at me open-mouthed, feigning shock, and once again she had me smiling. This girl has had me smiling more since she arrived than I had done in months. Oh, how rude. You know that you can't promise a girl chocolate and then take it back, right? You do that, and I would just have to let the pack know that their big, strong beta gains his super strength from chocolate, not working out. Imagine their shock and disappointment in you when your secret is revealed. She wiggled her eyebrows at me, as if to challenge me, and once again, I found myself laughing. Okay, I think you may have me there. I won't break my promise. I nodded. So, you want coffee to help that chocolate go down? Coffee? You want me to stop up all night? She asked. Then suddenly, Bailey turned to look at me, biting her lip uncomfortably. You want to do me a favor and forget I said that? I held back the chuckle that was so close to leaving my lips. She had obviously heard what she said in the same way I had, but no, that was not my intention. Not in the slightest. I grinned. All forgotten. You seem to think so badly of me, Miss West. I winked at her playfully, and the slight flush to her cheeks made my heart warm, knowing she was embarrassed. I have soda too, if that is better for Sleeping Beauty, I added, so she knew she didn't have to have a coffee. Now she rolled her eyes at me before answering. Soda would be good, thank you. And trust me, I am far from a sleeping beauty. You so do not want to see me when I wake up. I chuckled as she dropped her head to her hands, as if she had realized what she had just said. She was incredibly sweet when she was embarrassed. How am I managing this? She muttered. I did not think of it in any way but the sweet and innocent way you meant it, I reassured her, biting my lip to stop myself from smiling. Though you forget I have seen you in your pajamas. Her eyes widened as if she remembered. I remember. You have curly hair, I pointed out, slowly reaching out to touch her currently straightened hair that was currently pulled back into a ponytail. Yeah, I hate it. Forever been picked on for it. Wild and crazy hair. Like a mane. When you are constantly criticized for something, you kind of end up hating it. Thankfully, I learned how to tame it. She ran her hand through her ponytail as if to demonstrate. I think the curls suited you for what it was worth, I said with a shrug, and she looked at me in shock. Her cheeks flushed once more. Before, she quickly looked back at the stash of chocolate in the cupboard to avoid my gaze. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have mentioned that. It just kind of happened. I grabbed a couple of cans of soda from the refrigerator as she picked some chocolate from the cupboard before I led her through to the lounge of my home. My home that I barely spent any time in, modestly decorated in modern colors and furniture. I watched as Bailey's eyes darted around the room, taking in the room before looking awkwardly at me, like she was unsure if she wanted to be here alone with me or not. Sit yourself down, I said, allowing her the chance to pick where she wanted to sit. I was beginning to question if inviting her here was a little on the too friendly side. This was not me. Not in the slightest. Bailey nervously sat herself down on the edge of one of the sofas, her big brown eyes looking toward me. Your home is nice, she said politely. I sighed. Thanks. I moved back here after my voice faltered a little. No, I don't think she needed to know that. I shook my head. Thanks. Bailey smiled at me as I sat down at the opposite end of the sofa. We were almost acting like two nervous teenagers on a date right now. It was ridiculous. I had invited her here so she wasn't sitting on her own for the night overthinking things with the guy she was missing. I was trying to help her. There is nothing between the two of us. She doesn't like me, and I don't like her. There was nothing to be nervous about. When your mate died? She asked quietly. Sorry. You started saying when you moved back here after, so I wondered if it was when your mate died. She looked at her feet, looking a little uncomfortable. Sorry, maybe I shouldn't have asked. I shrugged. Why not? Not like I don't ask you things I shouldn't. Yeah. When Isla died, I couldn't go back to the home we had just begun to call ours. You guys weren't together long? She asked, her head tilted gently, her face full of compassion as she spoke. I slowly shook my head, sighing. No, I don't know if I was one of the lucky ones now or not. I thought I was at the time, meeting my fated mate so soon after coming of age. But in doing that, it meant she was here when the pack was attacked, when the rogues came. I closed my eyes, my fists clenched tight in my lap, trying hard to calm my breathing. I can't remember the last time I had spoken about all this. Suddenly, I felt a hand over mine. And as I opened my eyes, I was surprised to find Bailey had edged along the sofa to sit herself closer to me, and her hand was now holding mine softly. I could see Asher struggling, and I feel so bad for even asking now, for even encouraging this sort of talk. This was all my fault. I didn't like seeing him hurting. I know I had said some choice things about him when I had arrived, but I truly hated seeing him struggle like this. He didn't deserve to be in pain. I was sure of that. I slid myself along the sofa, noticing his eyes were closed as he breathed heavily, like he was trying to compose himself. Maybe I should leave? Give him some space? He seemed like the sort of guy who needed his space. Yet, instinct had me reaching for his hand instead. The touch seemed to make him jump, as he instantly opened his eyes to look at me in shock. His big green eyes were looking at me with confusion. "Sorry," I muttered, going to move my hand, but instead his fingers gripped mine as his eyes fell upon our hands. "Maybe I shouldn't have asked," I whispered. "No, I understand," he said, exhaling deeply. "I don't talk much about it all. It is not easy, as you can imagine. I lost Isla soon after we had met, before being able to build a life together. But the bond was already there, forming. And we had just moved into our new home together, both so excited at the thought of what the future would bring for us. I couldn't go back once she had gone. It was always going to be our home, the home we planned our future in. So I moved back here. I felt the pain within his voice, and I can sense Akira whimpering within my mind at the suffering this man next to us must have gone through. I thought what I had gone through was bad, but this poor guy had lost the one he was destined to be with, the one he had thought would be by his side for the rest of his life, the one he had been waiting for, the one the moon goddess chose for him. He must have been heartbroken. There was no worse pain, I would imagine. My own heart clenched in pain for him. In truth, I desperately wanted to throw my arms around him and hug him, but he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would appreciate a hug. The darkness that lingered over him made so much more sense to me now. The pain he must battle daily, if this was what he struggled with, must drag him down, dim any joy within him. Grief can be overpowering. "I'm sorry you had to go through that, Asher," I said faintly. "You have done amazing to continue being such a wonderful beta. Your pack is lucky to have you." He laughed, a dry and almost ironic sort of laugh, causing me to look up at him. "I think my Alpha and Luna may beg to differ on that opinion sometimes," he told me with a wry smile. "I think I am slowly driving them insane. Hey, with all the favors it sounds like you do for them, I don't think they can complain much," I told him, and he grins. "Finally, someone who sees it from my point of view?" I laughed. "I am sure they appreciate all you do. You will get your chance to gain all your favors back one day. Seems to me they definitely owe you some." That would be a whole lot. Caleb may not be quite so agreeable, and don't even get me started on Aiden. "You think the Alpha runs the show?" "In truth, it is our little lady Luna." "She knows you call her that?" I asked him, finding it funny, and I could tell just from the way he spoke of them that they were all quite close. "Hell no, nor would I want her to. She would whoop my ass if she knew for a second I called her anything other than her name. Especially right now. Pregnancy hormones and Aiden do not mix." He grinned at me. "I will be sure to tell her then." I teased him, and the way he looked at me feigning shock made me giggle. "Aw, now come on, Bailey. Surely you wouldn't want to get me into trouble, would you? I am sharing my chocolate stash with you, after all. Doesn't that make us friends now?" he questioned, and I found myself looking at him with a feeling of confusion filling my head. I definitely didn't expect that when I arrived. Yeah, I guess it does. "Wow, that look upon your face tells me the thought of being friends with me is far from a good thing," he said with a shrug. "Huh, the deep frown?" He signals to my face, over-exaggerating a frown upon his own face, making me stick my tongue out at him, aware he was teasing me. "I didn't frown, or not intentionally," I explained. "Don't think I could blame you. Not like I have been the best at making an impression upon you since you arrived." "Oh, I didn't realize you were trying to make an impression on me," I teased. His eyes met mine, and the way he looked at me made my stomach churn. Or was that butterflies? Neither did I. He grinned, making me laugh again. Suddenly, my phone began to ring from by my side, causing me to pick it up out of curiosity, wondering who it would be. But I didn't recognize the number, so I thought I had better answer it. What if it was someone at PAC? "Hello," I answered, smiling politely at Asher to apologize for the disturbance. But he simply smiled in response as he picked up his soda and leaned back into the sofa. "So, thought you'd got away from me, did you?" A voice I thought I had got away from hissed down the phone at me, and my hands began to tremble. "I may be away from Pac for now, bitch, but I will be back, and when I am, I will make you pay for the shit you have caused, Bailey. Mark my words. Difference will be, I will have a new mate by my side, and you will be all alone." Miles's voice snarled at me as tears filled my eyes, while I saw the eyes of Asher looking at me with a look I wasn't able to read.